right. Well, welcome to the Podcast Editors Mastermind, the show where we talk about the business side of podcasting. If you were with us last time, you remember that we've started a series talking about my first client, because one of the things that we hear very often from people is, how do I find my first client, or how do I find my next client? And transparently, Jennifer and I, we don't know. So we're going to all the people in our community and going, hey, how did you find your first client? What was that experience like? And our hope is that this will be something that's valuable for you as you're looking for those clients. Patrick, hello. It's great to see you.
Hey,
If you're
Patrick.
joining us live, we would love to see a comment in the chat just to know that you're here. And of course, you can always jump into the conversation in the chat, and we will definitely see what we can do to include you in the conversation. If you're listening to the recording later, it's been cleaned up. All the dumb things are pulled out because our guest today is Alejandro. He is actually our editor, so he can listen to this and say, I'm going to pull that out, I'm going to pull that out. You'll get the smart version. The people that are here live get a little bit more control over what we're doing. Before we get into this, though, we do want to take just a second to introduce ourselves in case you don't know us. So I'm Brian Ensminger. You can find me at toptieraudio.com, and above me is
Jennifer Longworth with bourbonbarrelpodcasting.com.
And our guest today, Alejandro, you can go ahead and whichever way I'm supposed to point. I don't know.
I'm on your right, but I don't know, with the mirror effect.
Yeah.
So I'm everywhere.
Yeah, and Alejandro, where can people find you online?
The people can find me on LinkedIn, on Alejandro Ramirez. It's like the most professional, because the other the other sites that I use are very, personal. For example, on Twitter, like Ale Carbono, or Instagram. Oh, also on Carbono Media on Instagram. It's like my professional, quote unquote, professional profile. Because I want to keep separate, like, the things that I upload that are related to the work, and the things that I upload that are mostly random things that I upload on my personal profile on Instagram. So
Okay.
yeah.
Can you send that to us? Because I don't think I've seen that profile before, and I want to make sure that I include it in the show notes so people that are watching later can connect with you, because you're an amazing guy.
Awesome.
Alejandro has been our editor for a year and a half now. Is that right?
I think so. I think we are about to have our second birthday.
Yes. So if you haven't followed the show long enough, our original concept was we would have people on, and it would give them an opportunity to edit the show, and then they could use that as part of their portfolio. And we found a couple things. One was that some people didn't want to edit, right? And I can respect that. And the other thing was, we basically created a new part-time job for Daniel, who had to follow up with all the people that were supposed to be doing the editing. And we just got behind. So we said, you know what? Let's put our money where our mouth is. We're editors. Let's hire an editor. And so we hired Alejandro. He's been with us 2 years.
None of us wanted to do it either.
Yeah, we tried that too. Yeah, I should say that. We tried that too. And we had 4 very busy editors. 2 of us had jobs in addition to being editors. And we just couldn't get it done. We were, I think at our worst, I think we were 5 months behind. Alejandro got us caught up, and we haven't fired him. He hasn't fired us. It's been a great experience, and we're happy to have him on board. So Carrie kind of started this the last time, because I was going to just jump in, and she said, hey, we should probably go a little bit deeper. So before we start talking about your first editing client, Alejandro, when did your love affair with podcasting start? Like, how did you get interested in it?
Into the very beginning of podcasting, on my end. This is very funny, because everything started. I don't know where can I start, honestly, because my life has suffered like a lot of changes through this in less than 5 years. Where before being a audio editor, I was a nurse. Actually, I got my degree of nursing, so yeah, that was like part of my previous life. I enjoy it at a certain point, but due to some situations, very heavy, because I'm from Venezuela, and the situation there was kind of chaotic between the 2010 until 2018, 19, more or less. And I just like wanted. I have like I don't know. I always describe this like I had like a whisper on my ears that I wanted to do something else. That whisper was saying something like, "Okay, you do know how to take care of the people that you like." One of the reasons why I choose nursing as the first area, the first option, because when we get out of school, nobody tell us, "Hey, we have this palette of options." You know, for at least on my case, we had only like three options. Like you can be or a physician, yeah, a medical, I don't know what's how can I say that, yeah, a doctor, you can be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, and those basically were
Wow.
the only options, you know. So yeah, I tried with applying to study to be yeah, to study to be a doctor. I didn't get to the point of the notes, you know. So I jumped, I decided basically starting with nursing, and eventually I would make like a change to be like a doctor, you know. But you know, everything flows the way that it, it, it went. Yeah, no, basically I had that whisper that it was saying like, hey, you can do something else. And at the same time, I was in a band, in a rock band, uh and the drummer, he's a audio technician since, I don't know when, l- I mean, since the 90s, from to that time, and basically he introduced me to this part of the audio world, you know. So I understand that there are a couple of options on that particular working area, you know, like being a roadie. You can be like somewhere that only pays attention to the drummer. uh, then you can, you know, so yeah, I basically, that was my very first step. But you know, again, at the same time happened a lot of things. I was making like a workshop of radio production, I think it was the
Wow.
name. And right there, I noticed was my very first approach to what is podcasting. This guy that was uh, guiding or uh, I don't know, driving. You know, he was basically our teachers in the workshop, and he showed us the podcast that has Lars Ulrich on BBC, and he was interviewing to Dave Grohl. You know, so it's basically, oh my god, you know, it's basically Metallica and Foo Fighters, which are my preferred bands ever. And so I started to having this like curiosity about what is podcasting and what is that, you know. And that happened, I think, around 2000, like 5 years ago, 2018, 17, more or less, that I started to knowing about the existence of something called something very abstract at that moment called podcasting. You know, and yeah, one thing directs me to another. Here we are. We can, you know, dive more into details, but basically that was the beginning of yeah, the podcasting in my life.
So you went from being a nurse to being an audio engineer now. So
Yeah.
that's not even the same thing.
No, even close. Actually, it's very funny because at that moment, you know, nursing has a lot of areas where you can work on, you know.
Yeah.
So I started to work on the operation room as
Oh,
an instrumentist. So this is the personnel that is on charge to giving to the doctor like the instruments of
yeah.
depending the surgery, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then I jumped for, you know, for this situation that happened on Venezuela. I jumped to taking care of people, and at a certain point, somebody told me, "Okay, so you are a musician, but you are also a nurse. So basically, you are taking care, or yeah, you are taking care of the body, but with the music, you are taking care of the soul." And
Mm.
it was very touching. You know, at that moment, it was,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's true. I mean, it's like I can be both, you know. So I don't know, it was very, I don't know if fulfilling what is the word that I'm looking for, but it was something that filled me inside very, I don't know, it was very nice. Very coursey, very cheesy, the feeling.
So,
So
what
yeah,
was it that made you say, "Okay, this is it. I'm going to transfer myself into, being an audio engineer and drop nursing." What was that moment, I guess?
maybe that moment when I started to enjoy it like a lot. Seriously, that was like the moment that I say, okay, I can do this, because even because of the band, I had all the instrument, the drum, the bass amplifier, the amplifier for the voice and the guitar, all that. I had all of that on my house, uh, and it was like, okay, I have the tools.
Mhm.
Why not? I can try to explore this,
Yeah.
And if I remember that during that workshop, I make like a demo for a curtain for a show with all sound effects and music. It was very crappy at the moment, and I don't know. I was enjoying it, honestly. It was, I don't know, somehow. I'm sorry, this for sounds so, I don't know, hippie could be, but I felt that I was doing what I wanted to do, you know. Yeah, it was more about a feeling. I don't have like a solid reason, but I don't know. It just drives me there, you know. I also, just as a little quote, and not a quote, but a little parenthesis. Um, I even make, and I think we always talk about this on the group, that I made like an audio drama uh, with sound effects, changes of pitch of the voice, uh, about the story of Kronos. This Titan Greek. Because yeah, those are my taste on things. A little bit weird, but I just enjoy it. I don't know if
Nice.
that responds the question. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that was great. And Patrick's with you. He says there's a lot of burnout in nursing. I
Totally,
would agree. And
absolutely.
I think Patrick is in transition right now, leaving a career in education. There's actually a lot of burnout in education too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's not happy to hear about burnout in your life, but at the same
yeah.
time, right? It's a common occurrence, and it's really cool that that you were able to get out of it. Jennifer, did you have
Yeah.
something?
No,
Uh, oh,
not for
okay.
that.
Okay.
I like, yeah, I have nurses and educators
No,
in
no,
my
I wasn't
household,
trying to
and
get
I'm
into the
even
burnout
better that
part. I was like,
I'm
do you have
like,
the next question?
I have the
Also,
next question.
Alejandro, when you rub your headphones, you're getting a little bit of scratching on the live stream.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. You're
I'm
used to
sorry.
the microphone, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's. I'm sorry for the people that's live. That's not going to be. That noise is not going to be on the recorded
Recording.
part. So yeah,
Yeah.
I will try to tell to the editor to take care of that. So
I've heard he just lets stuff go.
yeah.
So my question for you, Alejandro, is once you decided you wanted to do this, how did you find your first client? Tell us about it.
Okay, the first client. Actually, it's very. I don't know. I think we all part of the community for what I've read on the groups on Facebook. I like to think that we all start with this type of clients. I remember that on the previous episode, we call it like the beta clients.
Yeah.
Um, I found that on Upwork. It was my very very first client, so it was something like, I was obviously at the point that I was learning to how to work properly on the software that I used to do the editing. At the time I started with Audition, so yeah. I was learning, everything was sounding very crappy. Even these days I've wanted to look for those episodes just to listen how it sounded, but I wasn't like, okay, I don't need that type of cringe at this moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, my very first client, I got it from Upwork. It was a very it was a very good experience. At the first time, it was like, hey, this is. I felt very grateful because I had this opportunity to trying out this thing of okay, and I already make some recordings by my own, and now it's time to make some recording or some editing work for other people, and maybe charge a little bit for that work, you know. So yeah, that's what's basically my first client. It wasn't, now that I remember on hindsight, you know, it wasn't the best, but from that quote unquote good experience, I get in touch with Hannah, which is the virtual assistant of one of the shows that I'm editing since there.
Mm.
And it's we have like 4 years working with him. So it's like from that beta client, I had luckily like the connection with someone that gave me the opportunity to grow up as a as a video, as an audio editor, you know, as a content editor in general. Because eventually we jump from only audio to video, and this guys has support so much of my, you know, the worst editing that you can imagine, until the point that I'm more happy, more confident. Maybe confident is not the word, but I'm more satisfied, you know, with the result of the editing. So yeah.
So I'm really intrigued about the whole addition of video, because on the
Mm.
one hand, I think to myself, if you can edit audio, there's a really good chance you can edit video. I've proven that I can do it to a mediocre level. What have you done to upskill yourself as a video editor so that you can actually call yourself a video editor, not just a person who can edit your video because I know how to edit?
Yeah, I think I have to I don't know, be very thankful, you know, because from my circle of friends, all of them has been very uh attract to the audiovisual part, you know. So one of my best friend at that moment, he studied to be a filmmaker, and since we were very close, I had always like that feedback of watching a movie, finding the, you know, the plane. I don't know if the plane is the word on English, but finding like the plane, how the we talk about, I don't know what, we watch a ton of movies, and uh, we talk about the color, the intention, you know, the this whole aspect of the photography. And since there, I had that approach. Also because I really liked this audiovisual part since I was a child. I was making on my teen ages. Uh, Video editing very crappy using like Sony Vega or something like that.
Mm.
um I think it all was always part of me in a sense. I mean, it was always present on my life. But since I started to dedicate myself 100% to the video editing, like 2 years ago, that we started to make the video editing on this show of this client that Hannah, you know, introduced me. Um, so yeah, could you repeat the question?
It was just around
Yeah.
how you're making that transition, how you've built your skills up to the place where you're comfortable
Okay.
calling yourself a video editor.
Yeah. So yeah. Apart from the like 2 years ago that I started, I moved from Venezuela to Chile. I'm living in Chile right now, and I came in a very, I don't know, weird time, because I came here like 3 years ago, uh, like 2 or 3 months before the pandemic. So it
Mm.
was like I just get here, 2 months, uh, you know, we had like 2 3 months of normality, and then we have like the pandemic, you know. And at that moment, I was like, okay, everything is, you know, going, not getting closer, but everything is going low. So at that moment, I decided to go to work as a nurse, because I'm an immigrant. I have this information on my life, so I can do this to live, because you are in another country and you have other obligations, whatever. So at a certain point during the pandemic, I kept both works. I mean, being an audio editor for this channel, and sometimes for any shows that Carrie sent me, to edit,
Uh-huh.
to give her like a hand. Um, yeah, and at a certain point, I started to work on a producer company here in Chile with some friends. Uh, and from that point on, thanks to that guy, is called Alfredo Ojeda, he guided me. Basically, he was my mentor on video editing, because we had like the studio, we had like
Mm.
three good, decent cameras, and this guy was very passionate again about filmmaking, documentaries, other kind of things, and we spent a lot of time together setting everything up, because at that time we recorded like three podcasts on the studio, and yeah, we basically I learned a lot of things from him. Actually, he presented me the DaVinci Resolve. So at that moment, it
Oh,
Oh
was
yeah.
okay.
learn about this. This is like the software that you need, because if you learn to do if you learn to manage all the like the I don't know, the models on this software, you can be, you can create whatever you want to, or whatever the client needs. Obviously, depending on the person, you will not manage at 100% every single model. Everyone has its strange or their or abilities. So yeah, I think I that was the moment. I had maybe I was very lucky, honestly, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of things that have
Yeah.
happened.
So I think I heard three things that stood out to me. Maybe there are some things that stood out to other people. And of course, you can share those in the comments if you'd like. One was you already had an interest in it, it was already part of your life. Another was you committed yourself to do the work.
Yeah,
And the third one was you had at least one person in your life that you were able to work with in this case and who could challenge you to
yeah,
improve.
yeah,
That's that's something I need to remember myself in areas that I want to improve. Jennifer, we should
yeah.
probably hit Patrick's question if that's okay. Do you want to read it and I'll pop it up?
Yeah, if you pop it up. Patrick says, I'm jumping ahead, but I'd like to know how much time Alejandro spends editing an episode of Podcast Editor Mastermind. They want to know your secrets.
I think it's 6 hours, isn't it?
That's a secret. It's impossible to know. No, a ver, how much time? I mean, it depends, because sometimes the episodes. I mean, it depends. It depends a lot, because depends on how fluent the guest talks. There are some other issues that can be very time consuming, but usually I take like from 24 to 48 hours basically on having an episode done that lasts at least 60 minutes, more or less.
24 hours of editing time?
um like, for example, if I receive like the content here, I mean, right now, because I basically I organize like the things that I have to do daily, and if my to-do list for the next day is not so full or whatever, it could take me. I can have like the episode ready for like tomorrow night, or if it's weekend, I'm not working the weekends. I can
Yeah.
have it done for during the morning of Monday, if it's not a holiday, obviously, because that's something that I've learned during the time, and it's something that trying to integrate, respecting my free
Yes.
days, my
Yeah.
holidays, because I'm a workaholic.
Yeah. I think, oh, go ahead, Jennifer.
We're going to ask the same question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think what they're trying to get to is you're getting sometimes 3 or 4 tracks of us, which is probably not the easiest thing to edit in the world. I know because I've done it. And I think they're just wondering if you were able to start down or sit down and go from start to finish in one session. How long do you think you would be investing in that? Is it a couple of hours? Is it 2 weeks? Not how
Uh,
long does it take you in light of all your other workload?
um, I'm not okay. Maybe I will need to you to repeat the question. I'm sorry.
Sure. So
I'm so sorry.
if we sent you files
Uh-huh.
and you could sit down and just edit from start to finish, about
Okay.
how long do you think it would take you if you didn't have anything else that you had to do?
Oh, it's yeah. Like in one day. I mean, if I am receiving the content, for example, today, by tomorrow, by the 5 p.m. more or less, on my end, I will have like the episode done.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's very helpful because I already have like the session with the mix for each track, you know. Uh, so that's 5, 3 hours, 5 hours, or eight
So
hours.
so I think what
Maybe
Steve is
five
getting at,
hours because I take some breaks sometimes. Just I wake up from the chair and do some strange. I have to make the meal or whatever, you know. But I've edited episodes in 3 hours. Yeah,
okay.
I've edited episodes
I
in
mean,
3 hours.
considering what I know we send you and the amount of stuff that you take out, 3 hours is actually very good for our
Do you
show.
think so?
Yeah.
It's 3 to 4 tracks of us, and you typically take out about 15 minutes out of an hour. Uh, right? There's a few things that come out.
Yeah, well, if you say so.
Also, Patrick wants to know if we actually let you have a social life. Honestly, Patrick, Alejandro is a contractor. We can't dictate his schedule.
Right.
Yeah, he gets to do what he wants.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't know what we can say about social life because I'm basically like a cat. I like to be at home, you know. I don't like to go out and I don't know, going to a party or whatever. Actually, yeah, it depends on what we call to social life. But
And
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
have a gig tomorrow, so that could be a social life. So yeah, I have time for that too.
Steve says when I did an episode of PM a long time ago, it was almost 4 hours.
Yeah,
So
that's about how
It's
long it
possible
takes
that for me
me.
it takes at that time too. Again, sometimes I got dissociated editing, so I have to repeat the part.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that kind of things happen. We have to be honest with the people because, well, at least that's what I want to think, you know? Because sometimes it's hard to maintain the focus so much time, at least for me. Maybe I don't know. I may have some kind of neurodivergence that I don't know, distract me a little bit. But I mean, the times that I have like a workload very heavy, I am like, okay, I need to do this, and I focus on that. You know, or I have the support of my girlfriends that sometimes are here helping me with other things here at home. So yeah, that's you find the balance, I think, on to managing the time to have the episodes done. You know. And I think it's also because I don't have like a lot of clients that are sending me a ton of episodes to edit. You know, uh, yeah, I have like that auto regulation.
How many clients are
Um,
you serving right now?
how many clients?
Hmm.
Um, that's a good question. Let me see. Um, mm, I think I have like I mean, it depends because I mean, I'm working right now with a producer company. It's called StudioPod, and we are working with a lot of shows there at the same time. So basically, that's like 3 or 4 shows, but they are not posting or recording content regularly. It's like
Okay.
one or two a week, but they are like for this first show, they record this week, and they don't record until the next 2 weeks. But in the middle, there's another show that has the recording scheduled for that time. So yeah, that's yeah, yeah, I have like 3 4 clients, I
Okay.
think, more or less.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
the regular ones is like, yeah, 3 of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Jennifer, did you have any other questions before we move on? Okay.
No.
So, Alejandro, one of the things that I'm always interested in, and you talked about your first client being kind of that beta client. I'm of the opinion that every time we bring on a client, we learn something, whether it's about ourselves or how to fix audio or something. What's like the main thing that you took away from that beta working relationship?
I mean, I think I learned a lot of things. Self-respect is one of the
Ooh, that's good.
most important. Self-respect for my time, for uh, and I think it was great to noticing what I don't want for a client, because from that point on, I know what I may don't may let me see. um Maybe I don't know what's the type of what's my type of client, but I do know what's the type of client that I don't want.
Yeah.
You know, what are the attitudes, or what are the type of communication that I want to keep with my clients? I'm very informal. I'm very like, I used to send a lot of emojis. I send some memes, or I share random things that I found out there toward the Slack with the people that I work, because I don't know. I like that relationship. I don't like this relation that is very straight. Like, okay, so I don't know, very like in a company or whatever. So I like to keep it everything very easy. I learned also that I have to be patient with myself at the moment of learning things, because some things needs a little bit of time. Um, to understand how they work. You know, at the moment, at the first moment, I was like pushing myself a lot. Hey, I don't understand this. Oh my god, why? Whatever. So I went to my sources of people, that luckily I have around, to my network, to ask for advices, to ask for how to resolve any type of issue that I may found during the recording. You know, um, but I think that that's one of the most important lesson. Like, we we can grow up uh, depending on our networking too. I think that could be one of the things that I learned with that first client. You know, and also that my time has, again, that my time has a value. And I have to respect that, because Um, I remember that at a with the last days that I worked with that client, I asked him for a rise, because at that moment I was charging like $5 per episode,
What?
and he wanted
Oof.
like 3 or 4 episodes in 3 days. It was like, okay, a load of work that at this point I'm sure that I could manage, but at that point that I needed to figure out a lot of things, I was like, okay, this is impossible. So I asked him to for a rise of, hey, could you, what do you think about if we change the payment to maybe $15 per episode? And he was like, no, that's impossible. That's the money that an audio engineer charges here. And he was very grumpy. So yeah, that relationship didn't work so well. I had a couple of clients that were a little bit big. Actually, when I found them, or when they found me on Upwork, I was quite impressed by the size of that company. It's a company that's on UK, and I was like, oh my god, these people really, paying attention to me. So yeah, they offered me even a course, on Audition, and I did it, and it was very helpful. But yeah, at the end,
How
I don't
long
know.
did you stay on Upwork? Or are you still there?
No, I'm not there anymore, but I think I was there. It was a very short time. It was like 1 year. 1 year. If I say two, it's too much, but between 1 and 2 years, like 1 year and some month. But it was a very short time. I have to be honest. It was a very, very short time. Because it's very. I don't know what's the word on English, but it's the load of work. It's so much, and the amount of money it's so little that it
Hmm.
makes me feel like I was being a nurse again.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm burning myself out
Mm,
every day, and I'm receiving like nothing of payment.
bad
And
return on investment.
yeah, exactly.
So Patrick had a comment. He said, "My first client, and because he's going into this, and I went into it knowing this, is wanting a 2 to 3 hour turnaround time.
What?
Concerned but ready for the challenge." How
Okay.
long are his episodes? Because if it's like a 15-minute episode, well, okay, yeah, I can do that. But if it's like an hour long, just forget it.
Exactly. And we don't know if, I mean, and you don't know if the episode is well recorded, how much noise do you have to take care of, how many, these like hits that we accidentally give to the microphone. So solving that kind of things takes a lot of time properly. I know that Patrick is doing like manual repair. That's great. I'm right there. So,
Mhm.
I don't know. I've seen some posts of Patrick
Yeah.
on Facebook, and it's like he reminds me to when I was starting. It was like, okay, yeah, I remember being right there. So yeah, Patrick, if you're well, obviously you're listening to this. If you need any help on anything, you can obviously let me know, and we can hop on a call or talk or whatever. But yeah, back to the show.
He's saying 30 to 45 minutes is what they're thinking. Whoa. No, that's not reasonable.
No, no, I don't know. It's too much. I mean, I don't know. I don't know because
I
it's
would
weird
say
to having like an episode of that length, and it depends. I don't know. It depends. It depends why the client would like to have that episode ready with so rush.
I
It's
think it
like,
also depends a lot on what they mean when they say editing,
Yeah.
yeah,
right? So if they're looking for a very very light touch, where it's basically a listen through and just remove the very bad stuff, that's probably possible. But also, Patrick is new coming into podcast editing, but he does have a lot of background in this kind of thing. So he
Hmm.
he's got kind of a running start, even if it doesn't seem like it. So I don't want to be discouraging. Patrick does say he's going to have to pull back on what he does, and he understands that. Yeah, I would agree. At this point, you might have to find some ways to take shortcuts. I know that there are some people that I've heard, even on Chris Curran's show, where the turnaround was so fast that they had to do things like they might be a pro audio engineer, but their final step is running it through Auphonic because they just didn't have time to nail the master manually, right?
Mm.
So they
yeah.
they I Auphonic can work, right? I mean, I've used it, and so there may be some ways that you can get around that. I would encourage you to explore those because we don't want you to burn out here too, Patrick.
Exactly,
No.
exactly. I've used with this first client I learned about the existence of Alphonic too.
Okay.
So basically he shared with me like the password, so hey, you can use this, so you can, and it was great. Seriously, it was great at the beginning, but you know the time was passing, and I was like, okay, but what I want to make, I want to be able to get to that point, to take the audio to that point, like by the process doing by me doing the process, the proper manage of uh the gain stage, like the
Hmm.
control of dynamic, the equalization, all that things. So yeah, I took a lot of, yeah, I basically I studied a little bit, you know maybe I would like to be like a proper audio engineer with a career, but it's something that takes a lot of time. And it's something that I want to do maybe the next year, hopefully, I don't know. But also I'm thinking about going for music production and sound
Oh,
design.
Nice.
So
nice.
yeah. I had like a discussion with my, not discussion like a fight, but a communication with my girlfriend, where I get to the point where I said, if I want to be like out everywhere, I'm not going to be like my 100% on what on the things that I do. So I
Mm-hmm.
decided to go 100% on audio, keeping. I mean, on for example on video, I feel that I have a decent manage of color correction, how to making like a look. Depending on what we are looking for, or what the client wants, or what the situation wants. So yeah, I decided to focus only on audio, and yeah, things pointing to that.
Nice. We do have a
Yeah,
couple comments I wanted to hit. Facebook
sure.
user, sorry, we don't have your name here. Like to be relaxed too with their clients. It's a real balance to be professional, and sending a good taste meme or GIF is something that you have to build. I don't want them to think I'm too relaxed. I will share with you that Alejandro is a lot more fun than I am. As as the editor that people hire, I tend to be more boring, and I think that's okay. Right,
Of
Alejandro
course.
is him. I'm me. I've been boring my entire life. It's not going to change now. I suppose I can become less boring if I try really hard, but I don't know. And
No,
then,
I think
face.
it's part
Oh,
of
go
the.
ahead.
I'm sorry, but I think it's part of the personality of everyone's, and
Mm-hmm.
that's part. I don't know. I see it like if it's like a band. Everybody has their way to drive or do the things, uh, and it's okay, as long as you are very respectful with the client. You are, uh, if you say that you are going to do something at a certain point, you are, I don't know if commitment to what you say, because I don't know, it will give a bad uh, view from the client to you if you say, hey, I'm going to send to you the episode, I don't know, tomorrow, or in 2 days, and you spend like 3 or 4 days sending an episode. I think those points
Mm-hmm.
are very important, uh, on at least we that we work remotely you know
Yeah.
so if you have that kind of relation, that, hey, I'm very, I'm responsible with the things that you need, and I'm also giving you a good quality or a decent quality. Um, Basically, I feel like I have like enough space to be myself. So it's okay. It's part of I don't know, growing up, I think.
Yeah. Facebook user says that we need to bring Patrick on the show after he's been working with this client for a few months. I would even be open to for a few weeks to talk about his experience. That, of course, is dependent on whether or not Patrick wants to be a guest. However,
Of
if you're listening
course.
to this and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'd love to share the story of my first client, Jennifer, how can they be a guest on the show? Do you remember? It's been a long
Oh,
time.
do I remember? I believe they got to go to podcasteditormastermind.com and click be a guest.
Yeah, podcast editors mastermind and be a guest. So
Or
Alejandro,
sending an email to yeah.
yeah, yeah, at
No.
podcast. Yeah, we probably need to come up with an easier email address because believe it or not, people spell different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first listened to that, I was like, how can I, spell because it's
How many M's?
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the question.
So yeah, maybe we can leave like the link on the show notes so everybody can.
It's there in the show notes for sure. Yeah,
Okay,
we don't
great,
drop it in the
awesome.
chat, but it's there. One of the things I'm wondering, Alejandro, because
Sure.
I've been hearing for some people kind of recently that they're looking for clients and they're just kind of getting discouraged in the
Mm.
process. What would you share with somebody if they know that they have the skills, but they just can't seem to find the right client. Like, what would you share with them?
That they are looking for the client, but I mean, they have the skills and experience, but they can't find the client. Hmm. That's a very good question, and that reminds me to something that Kerry said in a couple of episodes, a lot of episodes before. That is just showing up. Put yourself in front of people. It's one of the things that takes that can give that can bring that opportunity to you. If you're looking for a client and you have the skills, maybe be humble too, because I think that we as humans, we can be very egocentric. Maybe egocentric is not the word,
Now you're
but
talking
we
about
can be
me, I
like, hey,
think.
if I have the experience, what I should have to, post every day what I do on my LinkedIn or my whatever social media that you want to. Um, Maybe that's the part that I refer to be humble, to just show what you do, find a way, a good way to show what you do, because right now we have a lot of tools to let people know that we are here you know
Mm-hmm.
uh I don't know, making it like a reel on TikTok or whatever, where you can, I don't know, it depends on the imagination of the person.
Yep.
But I don't know, like having a video on black and white with the audio not processed, and then you change it to when you have like the audio already processed and sounding so smooth, so professional. It's
Yeah.
some ways that I could say, just put yourself in front of people. And it sounds redundant because again, scary say this, but it's the truth.
Yep.
Um, Sometimes, yeah, yeah, it's just that.
No, I think that's great. One of the other things that's really similar to what you just talked about, right? You talked about creating a reel or something like that. Another thing you could do is hire yourself, right? Start a show,
Exactly,
and then
exactly.
you have a sort of a proof of concept. If somebody says, "What can you do?" You say, "I can do this." Now that's a lot of
Exactly.
work, right? Creating your own show is a lot of work. That's why people hire
Yeah,
editors.
totally,
But
totally. And it's,
That's
it's
why I
time
don't have a
consuming.
show.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, editing your own show it's very time consuming, but it's very rewarding at the end, because, as you said, you are showing to the people what you are able or capable to do. Actually, we were talking about this earlier today here at home. That I'm planning on making like audio, not audio drama, but I want
mm,
to make like tales of like ghosts on here on Latin America.
oh, okay.
So we want to start with like 3 episodes of the ghosts or appearance. Oh, yeah, the ghosts here in Chile. And I have like more or less like the script on my head. It's very blurry, but I don't know. It kind of reminds me to that first audio thing that I did with Kronos. I'm going to share that with you. You may not understand because it's Spanish and I talk like,
Oh, my Spanish is terrible.
but I mean, it's very raw. Honestly, it's very raw, but it's something. It's like something very. It's like a solid base of what can be. It needs to be polished, but it has the potential to do something good. So yeah, that's something that I have in mind. Since I want to make this thing of sound design. Um, let's see how it goes. So probably I'm going to upload that when it's ready to Spotify, and I'm going to share that here on the group of Podcast
Yeah.
Editor Mastermind. Yes.
Throw up Facebook users comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Alejandro, please let me know when you do. I love ghost podcasts, and my own is all about haunted Latin America. I'm going to
Yes.
guess that might be Christina from our last episode who's interested in
Sure.
that. So, yeah, share it with us. Share
Christina,
it in the
if
group.
hi Christina, if it's you, hi.
And I
Yeah.
also wanted to hit. I think is it Stephen or Stefan? I hope I'm saying that right. I always feel pushy when I put myself out there and ring in a potential client, but then I remember the worst they can do is say no, especially when you know what you're doing. You don't have imposter syndrome. So yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
great advice. Not something I would have thought of. And yes, we have confirmation. It's Christina. So Christina, glad to see you here, even after
Yay.
the episode last week where you didn't leave us. So we're happy to see that. And Steven says that it's Steve. So yeah, I got it right one of the times.
Awesome.
Jennifer, did you have anything else you wanted to hit before we wrap this up?
Well, with the feeling pushy and throwing ourselves out there, I'm not great on social media, but I do it in real life all the time. That's how I have local clients. So just want to throw that plug in there. Just put yourself out there in real life too, not just behind the screen. But now I'm ready for pod decks.
Yeah. So Alejandro, I know that you're familiar with the Poddex question of the day, but I don't think you ever
I
gotten to
don't
pick a
know
number
what's that.
between 1 and 5. So what number do you want?
1 and 5. I like 4 because
All right.
it's the middle of 8, which is my favorite number. So yeah, let's
Oh,
go
I
with
should have
4.
had 8. Well, one,
Yeah.
two, three, 4. Oh no. I think we've
Oh my
had this
God.
one before. If you
No.
had someone following you around all of the time, what would you have them do?
Okay, could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
If you had someone following you around all the time, what would you have
I
them
can't
do?
believe that it's the same question. What the hell? Oh my
Was
God.
it you that had this the last time?
It was the same question.
Pick a different one. Pick a different one.
All right, pick a number between 1
Yeah.
and 4. We're gonna get there.
Okay, let's go with the 2.
2. If you were going to come back as a person or thing, what do you think it would be? So I'm assuming if you've died and you were to come back, what would it be?
Well, what I would be? It could be a thing or it has to be a person too.
It says person or thing.
Person or thing? This is a good question. Let me think. Uh, I don't know. I think I would like to be. I'm sorry, but I would like to be the wind.
The
Because
wind.
yeah, because it's everywhere and it's so free and it's just everywhere. So yeah, I think I would like to be the wind.
That's cool.
Nice. Jennifer?
I'm going with
Yeah,
cat.
A cat.
Shocking,
that's
I know.
yeah.
But they, do their own thing. They sleep when they want. They don't sleep when they don't want. They just look at you weird if you're looking at them strangely.
And we still love them.
And we still
They
love
give us.
them, and we
Yes.
serve them, and yeah, everybody wants to be a cat.
There's a song
Yeah,
about that. Yeah.
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 Patrick says that he would come back as a ghost.
Woo.
I don't know because you will be like on the limbo, like you're not dead, but you're still in Earth. So it's like there should be more planes of existence that maybe are more funny than this reality. We can talk about that deeper, but we are running out of time.
All right, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, you? What about you? What you wanted to
So
be?
my first thought, and I have no idea why, was a Hot Wheels car. This is a
Hot
little
Wheels
tiny
car.
toy car. However, Jennifer has inspired me to change my answer to a beagle. And the reason is
Aw.
because my children have decided that beagles are the best thing in the world. And they always listen to our dog, who happens to be a beagle. So if I were to come back as a beagle, they would pay attention to me.
There
They
you
would
go.
give me what I want. They would feed me. And they would only yell at me when I bark at the door, which I would do incessantly because I'm a beagle.
That's
I
good.
think I would like to change my answer to be an animal too because we all are choosing animals. Maybe not. I don't know, like a chameleon could be an
Yeah.
answer too.
Oh,
Because I like
nice.
the chameleons. They are beautiful animals. This ability to change their colors and things. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's
And they
something
have
that I
laser
really like
eyes
a lot.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to mention just like a point apart before we go. Um, that we as editors sometimes, and this is like a mix of my nursing with my audio editor part, is that we have to take care a lot of our health, our hearing health or posture, all the things. Um, and yeah, I would like to encourage that to I don't know, to all the audio editors that are listening to us, to take care of your ears.
Mm.
We hear a lot that we need to trust in our ears, and that's true. We need to learn how to use them properly. And we have to be very, careful with that, because the senses are maybe one of the more precious things that we have. And sometimes we, for the reason of living, we don't take enough time to appreciate that,
Hmm.
to say, okay, thanks God, we can see, we can listen, we can feel. And yeah, I just want to mention that we have to take care of that, because it's important, yeah. This is like, again, this is like my me nursing being mixed with my audio version, giving you guys, yeah, earplugs,
Yeah.
totally,
Steve says that he
hundred
carries
percent.
earplugs and attenuators for concerts. I agree. I've got a set that I got for my birthday last year, just sitting in my bedroom for the next time I go to a loud environment.
Nice.
What a good gift of birthday,
Yeah.
earplugs.
I saw them
That's it.
advertised. They're supposed to retain most of the character of the audio, but they give you something like 18 decibels of reduction.
Oh,
I
So,
think we are.
I
I
need
don't know
that.
if we can talk about brands, but
sure.
there's one called Ergasm,
Yeah, that's what
and
I've got.
it's, oh my gosh, are very like the best,
Yeah, I think
like the
they're like
best.
$30 or $40 a pair, so they're not
Oh,
cheap,
Yeah, yeah,
but they come a
yeah, and
little
they give
carrying
you a
case.
very decent, a very good quality.
Yeah.
You are. I mean, I went to Metallica when they came here like 2 years or 1 year ago, and I had like the speaker like in front of me, and I was hearing them, and the drum of Lars sounds very heavy,
hmm.
and you know getting out of there without tinnitus, it was like, oh my god, oh my god, you know,
Nice.
the best, the best. And
Yes.
also, I'm a musician, quote unquote. So I like to be on concerts, that kind of thing. So yeah, to everybody, go for earplugs. If you work if you are exposed to uh, very loud environments, you know.
Good deal. Well, with that, we need
Yeah.
to go ahead and wrap up. We're reaching the end of our time, and I understand that some of us still have some editing to do because we are editors, and nights and weekends are when Jennifer and I do all of our editing. That's when
Yep.
that
Yep.
happens. So if you joined us live, thank you for being here. We love the comments. We love the interaction. If you catch the replay, we love you too. That's why we clean it up and make it sound good. You won't hear any of the scratching earplugs. Alejandro's got his work cut out because
Yeah.
he has to deal with me and Jennifer this week. And we're just incredibly happy to have you here and to be part
Yeah.
of the community.
No, thanks to you. Thanks to you.
Oh yeah,
Always, I was very grateful with you guys for the opportunity. Because part of my development as audio editor was, having the opportunity to work at a very early moment of my career, uh, editing this show. Because it's challenging. It's
Yep.
challenging, but I think Brian, we talked about this a couple of days before. When you have like uh, uh, I don't know, this type of things that challenge you, your ability, your skill, your knowledge. Uh, you grow up with that. You know,
yeah.
it just helps. It's not going to be. Yeah, it just helps.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, with that, we are going to bring it to a close. We're going to try and end on time because everybody knows you have to end a podcast on time. No, it's actually because we got work to do. Alejandro, thank you for being here. Look for
My pleasure.
Alejandro on Facebook. No, not Facebook, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
And he's going to send us a link for Instagram. He's got his professional Instagram, so we'll have a link for that in the show notes. Jennifer,
Yeah.
where can people find you?
Bourbon Barrel Podcasting across social media and Bourbon Barrel Podcasting.com.
And unable to join us tonight, we're Daniel. He's at
Ross.
not Yaya Podcasting.
No, Roth,
Roth
Media.
Media.
No,
Dot
Audio.
audio.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
Carrie's at carrie.land. She was also unable to join us. And I am tongue tied, but my name is Brian. You can find me at Top Tier Audio if you ever want to hear from me again. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye, guys.
Thank you.